Hey guys, welcome back to the Databank reading for the characters. I'm on Erudition, welcome to part 2. We'll be reading about the Herta, Serval and Qingque. So the Herta, I have already read her storylines. She's one of the characters that I do like the design of, and you can definitely see how the Herta works with Herta, and that this is actually just a puppet supposed to look like the real thing. So let's get into the story of Herta. Character details. Herta's space station's true master. As the human with the highest IQ on the blue, she only does what she's interested in, dropping projects the moment she loses interest. The best example being the space station. She typically appears in the form of a remote-controlled puppet. It is about 70% similar to how I looked as a child, according to Herta. Character Story Part 1. Madame Herta's manuscripts are extremely valuable assets. Its core rarity is not in how Madame Herta rarely pens to paper, but because to a genius like her, nothing is ever worth recording. That's kind of weird. Scientific research that would make normal researchers 10 years or even a lifetime to achieve may be able to shed light on an entirely new domain of research, but they are to Herta as ordinary as turning on a LED light. Who would waste time trying to systematically record such trivial matters? It's not just Madame Herta. Any documentation written by a genius society member is a priceless treasure. However, Herta is more generous and more understanding toward normal people like us. She leaves her handwritten drafts behind in random places around the space station with as much generosity as she allows researchers to study the curios she collected. Of course, we all firmly understand that Madame Herta isn't being lazy and just discarding incomplete drafts around the place. It's so she can claim the investors with plausible deniability that I finished writing that paper but can't find it anywhere. Okay, that's smart. Character Story Part 2. Everybody knows that qualifying as a researcher on the Herta space station is a cherished goal of the wider scientific community. Today we're interviewing its owner, Madame Herta. First of all, can you please tell us what your motivation for sending up a scientific research oasis like this? I have so much stuff and nowhere to put it. Truly an unforeseen outcome. Even unintentional acts from the brilliant Madame Herta can benefit millions of ordinary people. However, evil will always strive in vain to destroy such a wondrous place. Madame Herta, what are your thoughts about the Antimatter's Legion's last invasion? Don't come back. Oh, such a severe warning. This must form an indispensable part of Madame Herta's illustrious achievements. The mere Antimatter Legion dares to invade the space station, but you don't even deserve Madame Herta's attention. Let's move on to the next question then. Character Story Part 3. Recent research process on the research station has been hampered by the impact of the accident. Several researchers have been blaming themselves for betraying Madame Herta's trust and preference. May I ask, do you have anything you'd like to say to everyone? Nope, keep up the great work. Everyone wishes to contribute to your scientific research, Madame Herta. No thanks. Indeed, no researcher could ever hope to match Madame Herta's scientific ability, which is why we're deeply impressed by your wisdom and insights. Could you please tell us, Madame Herta, whether you have any research recommendation for everyone? We'd love to hear from you. No. Madame Herta, your intellect and talents are obvious to all, but normal people like us could never hope to be like you. Could you please give us any pointers, such as in what domain we might devote our limited cognitive resources to? You should go home and sleep. That's a response. Character Story Part 4. Madame Herta, you are so considerate indeed. The research that genius society members conduct are so complex that ordinary people may not even be able to understand the paper's titles. So let's talk about something else. The space station is filled with your loyal supporters. Everyone is curious about your personal situation. For example, the manuscript that you're writing. When are you planning on publishing the latest chapter? I don't think it really matters, but more importantly, Elias Salas once said that the most challenging thing of all is self-improvement, so let's examine this question more carefully. When writing a paper, the key question is how to write that paper. I see, but Madame Herta, we all love your book, How I Joined the Genius Society. Oh, I don't think that really matters, but more importantly, Xandar once said that even those who have made it to the top still need to practice self-improvement. So let's examine this question more carefully. When considering joining the Genius Society, the question is, how does one go about joining the Genius Society? Are you in auto-answering mode? I don't think it really matters, but more importantly, Yi Jingtu once said that becoming an academic is a matter of ambition, so let's examine this question more carefully. When considering what is called auto-answering mode, the question is how to automate the answers. So yeah, she was definitely in auto-answering mode. These are supposed to be made to diverge like the small little tasks that otherwise Herta would have to do herself to the people under her. The next character is Serval. I used to have her as one of my main characters to actually play, but because of some characters coming in and actually being a lot better, Serval got kind of put on the back burner. That's why she's not level 80. I really like her design though, but she reminds me a lot of the fire character from Genshin Impact, also with a guitar and everything. Only in Genshin Impact it's fire and here it's lightning. Lightning does fit though because she is from the planet that's completely covered in ice, so they need heating systems and she's the person who actually creates those heating systems. Character details. The free and rebellious eldest daughter of the Landau family. Once a close friend of Kokolia's, she's now a mechanic purely because she likes this job. In the Everwinter-stricken Bellabog, she opened a workshop called Neverwinter that puts business on hold from time to time for outdoor rock and roll performances. And should anyone ask her about the workshop's profit, this is just a hobby, dear. I'm not short on money. Born from a big family, because her brother also is an important character inside the Bellabog storyline. Character story part 1. This is the most talented mechanic in all of Bellabog and rockstar. Did we mention she also the sister of Captain Gebhard Landau of the Silvermane Guards? Stop that, keep the first part and leave out the second part. I'd like you not to gloss over my identity like that. I, Serval Landau, am the one's accessory. Oh, there's nothing else afterward? Okay, let me chip in then. If something's broken, drop into the Neverwinter workshop in the administrative district to see me anytime. What's that? You wanna hear some rock and roll? Well, that's even better. Drop into our Neverwinter workshop in the administrative to rock this city with mechanical fever. Character story part 2. Serval Landau owns a piece of land in the heart of Bellabog's administrative district, the Neverwinter workshop, where she in theory makes a living from her mechanical repairs. But to be more precise, almost all of this genius mechanic's time is spent repairing and making improvements to various musical instruments. Tss, don't pay any attention to that magazine. I'm a reputable business owner. From Giromaru radiators to car engines or even a Silvermane automaton, it's no trouble at all. As well as maintenance and renovations of ordinary appliances, I also provide a modding service, like fitting an external drill bit to a snowplow, or a ballistic trajectory calculator to a toaster, that kind of stuff. Oh, you want to know how's business going? Hey, don't ask so many questions, you know I like to fool around with music in my spare time. Anyway, I never planned on making a fortune. Life's too short, why not plunge yourself into your hobbies? Character story part 3. Serval was able to rekindle her passion for music after cutting off all connections with her family. This led to her prestigious workshop becoming a base for her to rock out. Despite suffering constant complaints, this cutting-edge art style from before the Eternal Freeze is still sought out by hordes of hipster kids. Oh, I give up. Can you trashy tabloids and your so-called music critics focus on what's important, please? Suffering constant complaints, hipster kids? My friends and I would dispute that. But I suppose it's true that mechanical fever is popular with youths. At that age, kids are either full of enthusiasm or are underappreciated. No matter what your mood is, you always have to vent sometimes, and rocking out with me just so happens to be the best way of doing that. Just like what I did back in the day. Ah, it's fine, don't worry. I was just suddenly reminiscing about the past. Character story part 4. Being happy at work is an art form. First, never overdo any task. Higher ups want to see their task progressing at a consistent pace before the deadline, so never turn in anything early. Second, never take the initiative. If higher ups don't personally tell you what they want you to do, that is not your problem. Third, don't work hard by yourself and never fight for clout. If you can, try and drag someone in the suffering together with you. Whatever you do, never work alone for the sake of trying to demonstrate any kind of ability. Afterward, you can give credit to your peers, both as an easy hat tip or simple investment into your future, but also as a shield against the possibility of higher-ups promoting you. A promotion means even more work. The point is, there are 3 basic principles for happiness at work. Do not be proactive, do not say no, and do not be responsible. Did you get it? The do not say no thing could actually be a dangerous thing. For example, I worked in a small team for customer service. The thing that happened is I was working for a company that was selling defense articles, and sometimes people would ask things that we weren't selling, and then you would have to say no. If it's something that you think you can fix, you can always look at the products that you do sell and see if you can maybe put 2 products together. For example, somebody wanted a pole, you know how those on the street that keep cars from running into certain things, those poles that are stuck into the ground, sometimes with concrete, those things, they wanted one of those but with light at the top. We didn't sell it, but we did have the pole separately with nothing else, and reflective little things that you could put on top of those poles if you wanted to, but never anybody thought of that before. So I said, take this and this, put it together, see if it works, if it's something you want, and you can always turn it back, right? The thing about saying no is sometimes you have to be able to say no to customers, but also sometimes you have to be able to say no to your boss. For example, if a colleague is sick and they suddenly want to push you to do more work, that might actually be detrimental for your mental health. Lately, with how life is going nowadays, burnouts are really common. If you're really feeling like it's just a drag, it's not a bad thing to try and search for help or to talk to people. Never let anybody tell that talking to people about your problems is a bad thing to do. It's important for you to feel happy in your own skin, and it's also important for yourself that no matter what happens, that you actually take care of yourself. Also, the part that I just read is actually wrong. It was from a different character. It was from Shinzu, I think this character. Shinjue. I'll read the correct character story part 4. Sorry for the mishap. In days gone by, everyone knew that Serval was the smartest out of all the Serval guards. 80% of the rumors about the talented elder daughter of the Landaus are based around this fact. However, these rumors were almost instantly replaced by a new piece of gossip a few years ago. Why was she, who had always been close with the Supreme Guardian, being fired from the armed forces with no prior warning? Does Serval hold a grudge about it? Everyone has their own theory. The answer to the first question is simple, no comments. This is the Silvermane Guard's top secret, I hope you understand. And as for the second, I don't give 2 hoots. Think about it. Is there anything better than living out a justifiable leisurely life? I prefer to say that woman helped me out. I really owe her a debt. In this world, it's better to enjoy the present moment. No way, who am I kidding? If your ends are already doomed, there will be no such thing as true joy. Kinda sad though. So Serval, the character Serval, worked for the guards like a brother, got fired because of something that happened internally. Probably rock and roll. Knowing her. But for her it's a nice thing that she still had her family and a thing to drop back into, even though her family kind of doesn't want to talk to her or about her. The next story is from Jinjue. Character details. An ordinary diviner at the Divination Commission, she would never slack off in slacking off. Following her parents' wishes, Jinjue qualified for the Divination Commission, but the relaxing post she was expecting was in fact a brutal high-intensity workplace. After several years of work, Jinjue has honed her skills. No matter which department she transferred to, she's still the lowest level diviner. She would browse books and play ancient tile games to while away the hours. What more could one ask for than a life like this? She's also the one that asks you to play it with her, the tile game. The legend of Jinjue begins at the Lyceum. From the time of Jinjue's freshman years, right through her graduation, whenever exam grades were announced, the word Jinjue was always followed by a number written out in full, 60, with no exception. At first, her tutors thought that Jinjue was just an average talent, unsuitable for academia, so they didn't delve too deeply into things. However, as the same number kept turning up in the examination records, her tutors began to suspect that this wasn't a coincidence at all. Very soon, having long conversations with the tutors became a common occurrence for Jinjue. Anyone familiar with this kind of sophistry will recognize that handful of sayings. At first, she's quiet and well-behaved, or gifted. Then later on, the tone will shift to blame. A pity that big brain of yours is going to waste. Before the grand finale, if only you could dedicate such ingenuity to your studies, then blah 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 blah. But Jinjue knew the kind of life she wanted far better than her tutors do. She kept repeating, oh yes yes yes, and sure, before turning straight around to fall asleep at her desk and just scraping by during the next exam. This was how Jinjue responded to the coercion and threats of her tutors. They finally ran out of patience with her. In the end, they could only leave behind a resentful message in her yearbook. It'd be difficult for her to achieve greatness. Character Story Part 2. During the 10+ years at the Divination Commission, Jinjue kept a low-key existence like a harmful little sparrow, following her parents' expectations and holding down a steady job. Jinjue thought she could breathe a sigh of relief. However, she didn't realize that the Divination Commission, which is in charge of gathering, collecting, and sorting information, is an endless sea of misery for slackers, with no end to the effort it demands. This high-intensity work drove Jinjue into torment for which she could not escape. However, as the saying goes, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Struggling through the endless days of being a lifelong professional, Jinjue became a seasoned slacker and learned more than a few slick tricks to loaf on the job. She transferred throughout the departments and worked under several bosses. Every time, she's always the lowest level diviner, with her numbers threatening to go even lower. It can be said that this has been pleasing. However, there are two things that still trouble her. One is visiting her parents during New Year for an annual catch-up, talking about life and her plans for the future, because she doesn't have any plans at all. The other is that pesky boss of hers who's more accurate than a jade abacus at piling new work on her whenever she's busted slacking off. Jinjue is determined to keep improving her time management skills and escape the terror of being pursued by her superior in the Divination Commission. What a shame that Jinjue fails to understand fate supersedes her. Her every thought is well within the purview of the Omniscia. It seems like even though she wants to slack off, somebody's now trying to make her to actually work. Character Story Part 3. The game of Celestial Jade is supposed to have been around since the days of the Primeval Imperium, but was lost during the Jianzhou Alliance's period of long interstellar drift. Thanks to an anonymous diviner at the Divination Commission, the rules have been collated, and brought back to modern-day Jianzhou. Collected, I think, I don't know, or written down, I guess. The rules have been collected, adjusted. Where the people are fortunate enough to have access to this mind-boggling tile game based on astrophysics and celestial phenomena. Of course, rules are not enough. That's why the diviner used blueprints from her repository as bait to lure in close colleagues from the Artisanship Commission into crafting celestial jade tiles plus a board to play on. The auto-shuffling function is integrated into these boards and quickly began to catch on in the Quatra board games parlor, which is owned by the Artisanship colleague. Nowadays, Celestial Jade is one of the most popular games aboard the Jianzhou Luofu. The diviner would joke about this in letters, sometimes with her artisan friend. She'd originally wanted to use this game for nothing more than her own leisure, not to capture the hearts of millions of Jianzhou people. Now that's completely unintended outcome. Well, it's not a bad thing. After all, if I can use this leisurely brain game to slack off out in the open, then why not go for it? For the Character Story Part 4 is the one I read before. Being happy at work is an art form. Don't overdo any tasks, especially if the higher-ups don't tell you anything. Second, never take the initiative. Third, don't work hard by yourself. Drag somebody into it with you. Like literally it says, try and drag someone in the suffering together with you. Then the afterword about the credits, giving to your peers, hat tip, or simple investment in the future so people can like help you out. And then the point is there are 3 basic principles. Do not be proactive, do not say no, and do not be responsible. Did you get it? Is the last line. Like I said, the do not say no can be difficult or can be also a bad thing depending on the situation. There's 2 characters left for the thingy. There is, on the other hand, another character coming out tomorrow, or later today I should say. I will read Yang Yuan and Jade together with that character. So I will post that character's story and these guys' story as soon as possible, but they will be released on Tuesday next week. Sorry again for this video being a bit later. I had to deal with one of my pets dying 2 days ago. Is also why I kind of wanted to first make sure that I was okay so my voice didn't sound too horrible for you guys to listen to. And thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me in this hobby of mine, wanting to read things. If you want to help out with anything for me, I've also linked my Patreon in the comments. It actually helps me out a lot. Thank you again to Faipe for being the very first person to subscribe to Patreon. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys have a nice day, a nice evening, a nice night, or a nice morning, depending on where you are. And I'll see you guys next time.